This is Chip Morrison again for my Connect Pal account. What do I do? Sam S. the other day asked me, he said, I am just so frustrated with my liberal friends out there and the hatred that's going on in this world, in this country today. Sam, I hear you. I'm frustrated about it too. I miss the good old days where almost every home flew an American flag and people were happy and life was good. But if you're going to live your life trying to gain the acceptance of everyone else around you, you're going to be sorely disappointed. A lot of the things that we're going through today were designed because we have to go through them. In the long run, they will make us as a country and as a people much stronger. The greater the adversity that we face, the greater the enjoyment that we'll have when it's all over with in the end. Just go back and look at the Civil War, for example. From the South, I can tell you that we think there was nothing civil about it. It was the war of northern aggression. All fun aside, though, more lives were lost in the Civil War than any other war in history. 1 out of every 4 families were majorly affected by that war. But when it was all over with, we managed to somehow put aside our differences, come together, set aside our divisive thinking, and build something greater than what we ever had before. The disturbances that you're feeling right now, Sam, they're not real. They don't affect the masses or the mass thinking in this country. There's a small group of people, paid protesters in many cases, that are designed to help influence you of their way of thinking. And unfortunately, it's exasperated by the news media. The same can be said for many of your liberal friends out there. They're what we call, or what Rush has referred to, as the low information voters. These are people that get their information and their news from the normal news outlets, as opposed to digging in and finding out what's real, what's factual out there. Our world today, our country today, is controlled by 16 media corporations and 100 liberal billionaires out there that want to change your perception to their way of thinking. Because they know if they can change perceptions, perceptions will become reality. And this happened a long time ago, back when we had the liberal professors that were in the colleges teaching our kids. And over time, we did what we call, or what I like to refer to as the dumbing down of America. We've taken things out of the classroom. We've taken subtraction, a lot of things in terms of arithmetic things out of the classroom. We've taken cursive writing out of the classroom. We've taken history out of the history books in order to rewrite things to change our feelings and perceptions about our world around us. You have to look no further than in the early 1970s of the Stanford prison experiment. Stanford did this experiment where they took a classroom of people and divided them up into prisoners and guards. And over a period of time, the experiment had to end because the guards were truly treating the prisoners with physical harm. And the prisoners, being treated that way, were responding back. So the experiment had to be ended. But there was nothing right or wrong. It was an experiment, for Christ's sake. But it shows you the example of what can happen if you change perceptions of people. America can't be destroyed from the outside. Many people have tried. America can only be destroyed from the inside. And it's a real simple process. You get people to turn against each other, whether it's rich against poor, Republican against Democrat, white against black. Then once you've got the people in arms, you get the people to turn against their government. And then you take over their government at the point in time that they're disarmed and cannot rebel against that takeover and fight back. Sound similar to some of the things that are going on in this country today? Sam, what you need to do is you need to get away from limits, labels, and traditions. These are the things, if you get away from them, will help you shake off some of the frustrations that you have with those so-called liberal friends and with some of the hate things going on in this country today. What do I mean by limits? Limits is what we put on ourselves. Limits is what we put on ourselves in terms of what we as a country can do. One of the reasons we got out of the pact having to do with climate control is because it brought America down to everybody else's standards. It limited our ability as a country to grow and to think. We put a man on the moon, for Christ's sake. We can do anything we want. You, as an American, you in free country and society can do anything you want to if you don't limit yourself and your own ability. If you've ever seen the experiment done with fleas in a jar, put enough fleas in a jar, put a top on them, and leave them for an hour or so. At the end of that period of time, take the top off the jar. What'll happen? The fleas have been conditioned only to jump so high, and they will not jump out of the jar. They will not discover what the real world is like because they are limited in their thinking and their ability. The other thing you need to do is you need to get away from labels. You talked about your liberal friends. Labels don't define them. They define you, Sam, which obviously means because you call them liberal friends, you're conservative. Good for you. But what I want you to do is don't be against anything. Instead, find out why people feel that way. Instead of being for war or against war, be for having peace. Instead of being against people having guns, be for an environment that allows for comfort and security without them. But I can assure you, if things do happen for the worst and people start shooting, you're going to want those people that have guns around you. And let's look at traditions. Many of us are ruled by others in positions of authority that tell us what we need to believe and think. We have forgotten reality. Our ancestors believed in certain things and have told us how we must think and believe. The sad part about that is that people who adhere their values to the past, they get their personal worth from traditions and cultures. And demanding that our children live that way make them easy prey for anyone in authority. Look at North Korea, for example. They keep their people involved in fear. It is the only way to keep control of them. One of the reasons that the Soviet Union fell is because even though the Soviet Union wanted to tell their people how things had to be, what things were, they found out through video that that's not how the world was at all. And therefore they helped bring down the Soviet Union. ISIS, for example, the terror and things that they're causing in the world today. Also look at how they're destroying monuments in history because they don't want you to think about what the past has been about. They want to rewrite it for themselves. So, Sam, those things, limits, labels, and traditions, if you can get away from them, will help you shake off some of this frustration you have with what's going on in the world today. But what I want you to do is bake in 4 unique ideas that are going to help you move ahead. And the first thing I want you to do is I want you to learn to live for the moment. Everyone sees this world differently. In fact, the more that you look at this world, the more there is to see. I want you to live in the moment. I want you to enjoy life for the moment so that others around you will do the same. The second thing I want you to do and bake in terms of your ideas and thinking is I don't want you to judge people. Again, find out why they feel a particular way. Understand their way of thinking. Do you know if you let some of your liberal friends actually talk out their ideas, many will move away from them. Many of them will talk themselves out of their feelings and beliefs. Another thing I want you to learn how to do is let others be themselves. As human beings, we are creatures of emotion, not logic. We want you to celebrate differences. You should celebrate differences in the people around you. Because if everybody's thinking the same, yep, nobody's thinking. And the last thing that I want you to do is I want you to become a leader, not the exception. I want you to be unique, dynamic, and different in a very positive way. When you do, people will notice. People will follow you. People will buy into you, your concepts and your ideas much easily. Therefore, if you can learn to change yourself and become a leader, be the exception, people will not only follow you, they will change their feelings about you and about how they feel in the world today. By changing yourself, you influence change in other people. And when other people are changed, there is no limit to what we can do in this country today. Hey, I appreciate you being with me. Thank you today for your time. My time's up. Thank you again for yours.